Hello, YouTubers, Discord, TikTok. We are all here today. Hello. Hello, everybody. How are we doing this evening? Welcome. I'm John Aravosis. I've got my Ukrainian mug ready to go. Good evening, all. What day is today? Wednesday? Wednesday. Hump day. Thank you, Crazy American, for the gift. Welcome, folks. I'm doing my new and improved sitting back casual style show, since it works better for my back, and at the same time, well, it's probably not the healthiest way to sit, but I think it looks better too. So there you go. So welcome, everybody. I am John Aravosis. This is my show. We talk about the latest Trump news. We talk about the latest Ukraine news. Thank you, Adventures, for the gift. Thank you, Alan, Darian. Lots of gifts coming in. It has been a busy week. Thank you, Lamb Chop. We've got a number of Trump stories to start with, then some Ukraine news, which involves Trump as well, interestingly. Thank you. That's cute, dear D. Ryan. That's very cute. Thank you, Rune. Thank you. Blue Ariel. Thank you for the dragon head on TikTok. Thank you, Carol, Sandria, Kathy, Carol. So many gifts. Thank you, guys. Oh, that's funny, Andy. That is funny. So welcome, guys. So I'm John Aravosis. This show, we talk about the latest news from Ukraine. I'm going to dive right in. Usually I try to wait till more people arrive, but I think like for the rebroadcast on YouTube and stuff, it's very confusing. So let's just dive right in. Thank you, John S. As always, I do this for a living and I do it full time. So if you can help me out, I appreciate it. My income, I pay the bills, I pay the mortgage with your gifts and with your subscriptions. So if you can help, please keep it going. Thank you, John S. Thank you, Elizabeth. Succeed. For the TikTokers, you may not be able to buy the coins to do subscriptions on the app because of the App Store problem, but you shouldn't do that anyway. You should use the website. If you go via the web to TikTok, you will you'll save 25% on buying the gifts, the coins for the gifts. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Martin. You can find that link in my profile on TikTok. Click the Linktree link, and the very first thing that comes up is the TikTok link for coins. Use that for any of the creators that you guys visit. Thank you, Darian. All right, let's get rolling, guys. So Donald Trump is very upset today. I finally got to watch this video. It was very interesting. I'm assuming, actually, somebody maybe can tell me, was this the church service the morning of the inauguration? Trump is pissed off at this bishop who, Trump and the first family, the vice president were all in the front row and of the church. And this bishop, the day after, okay, it was the day after. Thank you. It felt like it was yesterday, judging by the news. Well, this bishop basically, I don't want to say she scolded Trump. She took advantage of the fact that the leader of the free world was in the front row, and she talked about, the most helpless among us. She talked about gay people, about transgender people. She talked about migrants and immigrants, and how, basically she said like a lot of gay and trans people are Democrats, Republicans, moderates. They're your sons and daughters. She talked about migrants and immigrants and said most of them are law-abiding, good people. They pay taxes. And she urged the incoming administration to be kind to everyone. It was a very Jesus-like kind of moment in terms of the kindness message. Trump flipped out. He demanded an apology. He said she became political, which is interesting because, well, I guess if you consider saying that you should be kind to people and you should take care of people, political, that I guess Jesus is political too, I guess, right? This is church. I mean, these are the things you talk about in church. The Bible, exactly. The Bible talks about all of these things. The Bible talks about helping the poorest among us, right? The Bible talks about, the Bible talks about welcoming everyone, right? I mean, I can't even, the irony is I probably don't want to mention some of the things the Bible says because I'm afraid that may get me banned, to be honest. But the Bible, Jesus welcomed people of ill repute even, right? He welcomed everyone, especially those he welcomed. So very interesting. Well, Trump freaked out, demanded an apology. Honestly, I would be upset if she did not take advantage of the opportunity. The very fact that you have a new president coming in and you are giving the sermon to the new president, per se, you are going to talk about his behavior, but in a highfalutin kind of way, which is what she did. Anyway, it's very good. It was very good what she did. So Elon Musk undercut Donald Trump today. It was very weird. Trump yesterday, you might have seen this. Trump yesterday had a he launched an AI initiative, artificial intelligence initiative, and he announced that there was going to be up to $500 billion, anywhere from $100 billion to $500 billion spent on this new AI initiative. And he was very proud of it. Oracle's involved, OpenAI, NVIDIA. I mean, all the big companies are involved. Microsoft, I think. Well, Elon, and they're going to build like a whole infrastructure here in the US. Obviously a big deal and an important deal, right? I mean, again, assuming this is real, you know, Trump, you never know. Assuming this is real, this is a big deal. This is great, right? Well, Elon Musk went crazy last night on Twitter and undercut it. He said, basically, there's no money there. I mean, it was bizarre. Hold on, I'm going to pull up I've got the actual tweet from Elon. 1 second here. Here's what was bizarre about it. Maybe Elon was telling the truth. I don't know. Elon apparently is in competition, like really doesn't like Sam. I was going to say Walton. It's not Walton. What's his name? He's the AI guy, sort of the open AI chat GPT guy. And Elon doesn't really like him much. Altman. I was going to say Waltman. Altman. Thank you, guys. I knew it was close to that. So Altman, see if I can find this. Here we go. So OpenAI tweets about it. It's called the Stargate Project, which is very cute. It's a sci-fi, based on a sci-fi name. Great TV show. Thank you, EDMJ. Bankman was the one I was thinking of. You're right. I'm mixing up Bankman and Altman are the two names I keep mixing up here. So it's a So OpenAI tweets about the Stargate Project, a new company which intends to invest $500 billion over the next 4 years building new AI infrastructure for OpenAI into the United States. We will begin deploying $100 billion immediately. Elon jumps in and writes, they don't actually have the money. And then he writes, SoftBank has well under 10 billion secured. I have that on good authority, meaning you're promising 100 billion, you don't even have 10 billion. Okay? This is Donald Trump's big initiative they're announcing. And Elon says they don't actually have the money. First of all, let's put aside that this is Donald Trump. You don't do that to your president, right? Donald Trump is Elon Musk's president, so to speak. Right? Elon invested a lot of money getting Trump elected. He's on Trump's side. Trump has brought Elon around the world with him, right? You don't publicly undercut, especially when you are a top, and Elon works for Trump. He's heading up this Doge thing, which is like a Department of Government Efficiency, looking to cut the budget, this kind of stuff. You do not publicly undercut your boss, for starters, and you certainly don't. I mean, this was a huge, you guys get it. This was a huge initiative, and Elon just goes and says, they don't have any money. It's not real. Now, what is interesting about this is how long Elon will get away with this. Trump needs Elon. Elon is the richest man in the world, right? Trump wants that. Trump wants it from, I think, a psychological perspective. He wants to be loved by the most important people in the world, right? To show how important he is. But he also, being the richest guy in the world means you've got a lot of influence, and Trump wants that influence, right? With Elon, and he wants to use Elon's influence. This is the kind of stuff that will break the relationship between Trump and Elon. I think this is, incredibly stupid for Elon to be saying that. Incredibly stupid. Hey, Donnie, I'm just kind of blown away. The question will be, will there ever be a rupture between Musk and Trump because of Musk's money and Trump refusing to let go of the money, right? So in other words, there won't be a rupture because Trump doesn't want to lose Elon. I think it's absolutely fascinating. Also interesting is what happened with Vivek, that Vivek basically quit or was fired. Vivek Ramaswamy was the guy that was working with Elon Musk, running this Doge government efficiency thing, right? And Vivek went off a couple of weeks ago about American culture and how bad American culture was. And that's why Americans make bad employees. And tech companies have to hire foreigners, Vivek said, because American workers aren't good enough. I mean, it was, there was like a kernel of truth in what he was saying in terms of tech companies do have a hard time getting enough engineers, right? But the way he said it was so critical, condescending, nasty about Americans. Well, Vivek's gone now. He's running for governor of Ohio, is no longer going to be working on Doge, the government efficiency project with Elon. So, let's see. But Vivek also didn't have Elon's money, right? So we'll see. One thing, by the way, too, is I'm still trying my new internet connection for TikTok tonight. If TikTok freezes, then we know that my T-Mobile is not going to work. But I'm trying it again tonight just to see what happens. So be aware, TikTok, if any, and mods as well. If anything goes hinky, just be aware. Thank you, Noah. This is a very old sweater that I dug out of the drawer. It's already buffering. Don't say it, Annie. Don't say it. I'll have to switch. If it goes bad, I'll switch. But as I said, I'm trying to give T-Mobile a chance. I'm trying, but it keeps dying on me. I get great. We're not going to go too long talking T-Mobile tonight, but I get great coverage, but then it dies several times a day, which is okay if I'm working at my desk. Maybe it's not okay if I'm trying to stream to you guys. That's not cool. All right, let's keep going. Yeah. So I have been very concerned about the pardons that Donald Trump did for the January 6th insurrectionists. And what I did not fully appreciate was the degree to which Trump pardoned most of the violent offenders who attacked the police. I had started to read about this. I saw that the police put out statements very angry about this, but the vice president, right, J.D. Vance, had promised like a week ago that Trump was not going to pardon violent offenders, that it was only going to be it was only going to be the nonviolent offenders. They pardoned the violent guys. They pardoned the worst of the violent guys. I want to pull this up from NBC News and just read you a couple quotes from this article from NBC that walks through some of the guys they pardoned. I mean, guys, there is no excuse for any of these people. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican. You don't physically attack the police, and you don't justify that. Democrats or Republicans, doesn't matter. This isn't politics. This is just basic humanity. Listen to this. Tyler Bradley Dykes of Bluffton, South Carolina, was sentenced to 57 months in federal prison for stealing a police riot shield and twice using it against officers. He earlier in the prosecutors accused him of giving police that little hand motion that Elon did the other day. You know what I mean? And participating in a training for a neo-NZ group. Andrew Take of Houston was sentenced to a little more than 6 years for assaulting law enforcement officers with bear spray and a metal whip. Christopher Quaglin viciously assaulted numerous officers, using bike racks, among other things, and even choked one officer to the ground. Taylor James Janatakis, what else? Assaulted officers, civil disorder. I'm trying to see anything here. Using a metal barricade to attack officers head on, grabbed one officer to prevent him from defending himself against attackers. David Dempsey, one of the most violent rioters, according to prosecutors. I'm reading this from NBC News. Received one of the longest sentences, 20 years in prison. He called for Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Jerry Nadler, and Nancy Pelosi, 2 members of Congress, to be hanged. What did he do here? He used his hands, feet, flagpoles, crutches, pepper spray, broken pieces of furniture, and anything else to attack police officers. Daniel Rodriguez used a stun gun and plunged it into the neck of a police officer. Ryan Nichols used pepper spray against the police. I'm leaving out also some of the crazier stuff these guys have said and done. That's who these guys are. These are the guys who Donald Trump pardoned. I mean, again, I know people always say, Oh, why are you surprised? But, you know, um, and he pardoned the Silk Road guy. Exactly. I haven't looked him up in a long time. I want to do a video on it for TikTok and YouTube, but I haven't looked him up yet. I know he was running this sort of illicit website that was used for drugs and all sorts of crazy bad stuff. We're not supposed to even talk about that stuff on TikTok, so I'm not going to. But he did a lot of bad stuff. He did do a lot of bad stuff, though. I don't think he should have been pardoned either. But yeah, really bad. You know, what you can do about it is talk about it. These kind of things should be talked about. If the president is doing things that are bad, people should talk about it and let other people know, because eventually it catches up with you. There are elections. There are always elections. There's going to be elections in 2 years. You know, this kind of behavior by Trump, people should be talking about and letting people know. Oh man. Anyway, very bad. Let's talk about Ukraine. It is day 1061 of Vladimir Putin's special 3-day military operation. Trump kind of threatened Putin today. This was fascinating. So in a tweet of sorts, Trump has his own social media platform and writes these messages, but let's just call them tweets for lack of anything else. And Trump wrote this tweet. I'm going to read it to you, basically threatening Putin, which is actually kind of shocking. Let me read this to you, and then we're going to talk about what this means. Trump says, "I'm not looking to hurt Russia. I love the Russian people and always had a very good relationship with President Putin. And this despite the radical left's Russia, Russia, Russia hoax." He can't just quit that. And by the way, there was no Russia hoax. Trump's own son welcomed Russia's involvement in the 2016 election. He admitted it publicly. You can Google it. He literally said, "I love it," when he was told, Trump's son, that the Russians wanted to help Trump win the election. Google it. It's all there. His son actually let that information go public because his son thought that information helped, which I thought was a little weird, but nonetheless, it's coming from his son. We must never forget that Russia helped us win the Second World War, losing almost 60 million lives in the process. All of that being said, I'm going to do Russia, whose economy is failing, and President Putin a very big favor. Settle now, meaning settle the war in Ukraine now, and stop this ridiculous war. It's only going to get worse. If we don't make a deal, and soon, listen to this now. I have no other choice but to put high levels of taxes, tariffs, and sanctions on anything being sold by Russia to the United States and various other participating countries. Now, we should say something here. The U.S. doesn't buy anything from Russia. Sanctions will do absolutely nothing. First of all, we have all the sanctions we can do on Russia pretty much. There isn't much more we can do. 2, putting a tariff, putting a tax on goods coming from Russia is going to do nothing, because we don't buy anything from Russia. We never did, pretty much. We never bought much of anything from Russia. But with the war going on, we buy literally next to nothing. It is actually, this is kind of classic Trump, which is annoying. Thank you, KT. He finally does the right thing and goes after Russia and goes after Putin and says, "You better be for peace or else." And then he makes threats about things that make him look silly, that are empty threats. They're empty words. I mean, you don't threaten Putin by saying we're going to put tariffs on all the goods Russia sells in America when Russia doesn't sell any goods in America, right? There aren't any goods that Russia sells in America. I mean, it's unfortunate. Let's put it that way. It's very unfortunate, because he had a good thing going with his statement, like standing up to Putin. And then, Putin's laughing right there going, "Okay, really? If I don't come along, you're going to threaten Russian imports to America that don't exist? Okay, thanks." He goes on, "Let's get this war, which never would have started if I were president." Yeah, right. Over with. By the way, Trump did say the war was going to end within 24 hours of him starting the presidency. That was 48 hours ago. We may need to add that to the beginning of the show. It's been 1,061 days since Vladimir Putin's special 3-day military operation has started. And it has been 3 days, or 2 days, I guess, depending how you count it, since Donald Trump promised the war would be over. We may have to start doing that. But what is interesting is that Trump actually was kind of in your face to Putin. I thought was kind of interesting. was kind of telling Putin, you better reach a deal. That's interesting. Unfortunately, that he then, he then threatened Putin with something that doesn't matter, sanctioning Russian trade with America, which doesn't exist. But, beggars can't be choosers, I guess. Rubio, we actually had a pretty good comment from Rubio as well. Marco Rubio, former Republican senator, now Secretary of State under Trump. I think actually a pretty good pick. I don't like the guy. He's too conservative for me. He's relatively, I would say he's relatively normal in a conservative Republican sense on foreign policy, but for the Trump thing, right? But he's a Trumper. Trump's going to get Trumpers. You can't get upset because Trump picks Trumpers for his cabinet. That's going to happen. But on foreign policy, he could do a lot worse than Rubio. Listen to this from Rubio. We are going to engage in making the war in Ukraine end in a way that is sustainable, meaning we don't just want the conflict to end and then restart in 2, 3, or 4 years down the road. That's the first part that's interesting. Rubio is saying what I've been saying, which is if this war isn't ended the right way, if you just end it and give Russia everything it wants, the war is going to start again in 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, maybe 8 years, but Russia's going to come back for more because Russia wants to take all of Ukraine. This is what happened initially. Russia invaded in 2014. They'd been fighting ever since. They took parts of Ukraine. They took Crimea and other parts out east. And then Russia re-invaded with a massive force in 2022 when they built up their military again. And the same thing. But so this is interesting, though. This is interesting that Rubio is acknowledging that if we don't end the war correctly, Russia's going to start the war again. That's interesting. Now, just because Marco Rubio says it doesn't mean Donald Trump is going to believe it or agree with it or it's going to matter, right? When it comes down to it, Trump does what Trump wants to do. It's still interesting, though. I still think it's interesting. European Union Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas, whose name I can never pronounce correctly, but she's the former leader of one of the Baltic countries. I'm going to say Estonia? Am I right? Help me out here. Kaja Kallas, which country was she with? Which leader? You guys are always a couple seconds behind me here. I want to get it correct, but one of the Baltic countries. Good. Finland? No, she wasn't Finland. No way. She wasn't Finland. So was it Estonia? Estonia. She was Estonia. Yeah, that's what I thought. No, she was Estonia. Yep. She was great. Really strong, really stood up to the Russians, really vocal in support of Ukraine. Great leader. Well, she is now the European Union Foreign Policy Chief. Oh, thank you, Blue Ariel, for that. Guys, please do keep the gifts coming. I always hate making the pitch, but I've got to. I do this for a living, and I need the gifts. By the way, please follow me on my other social media because TikTok is only here temporarily. They've got 75 days. Now we've got 72 days. That's it. The App Store is still not letting the TikTok app back, and I am very concerned about how long the app is going to work. Thank you for the rain there, Ellie. Since I'm talking about this, kind of a rainy day thing. Thank you, Suma. Thank you, Keep It Alex. Thank you, Mustard, Dawn. So please do follow me on the other apps, which you can find via my profile on TikTok. You guys are already fine on Discord and YouTube. You're already following me, so you're safe. But on TikTok, guys, not just for me, but for all the creators you follow, you need to make sure you follow them on other places because we've got 73 days left. And I fear the same thing might happen. I hope it doesn't, but I fear we have to be ready for the same thing happening again. Oh, you sent it, Flower Lady? Thank you. Thank you, Jeremy, as well. Randy Fred. So just again, not just for you, for all the creators you follow, just make sure you're following them everywhere just to be safe. But for me, go there and look for or actually, I think I've got it on my screen. I do have it on my screen. Oop, I forgot about that. So that right there is my YT place, social media place that you can follow me at. All right, a little bit more here. Oh yeah, so Kaja Kallas, she pushed. Trump made another comment claiming that the U.S. had spent more money than the Europeans on Ukraine, which is not true. Thank you, Kronos. Not true at all. And she pushed back and said, by her account, Europe has given more than 134 billion euros, 113 billion pounds, That's equal to about the same amount of dollars. That's probably equal to $135 billion to Ukraine. The U.S. has given less. So Europe has actually given more to Ukraine than America has. And if you look, this is not her, this is me talking. If you look at per capita, basically the amount of money, or not just per capita, per GDP. So if you look at the amount of money given by each country based on the size of their economy, which is a much more fair way of doing it. You can't look at a poor country compared to America and say, well, you gave less than America. Well, of course they gave less because they're poor, right? When you look based on the size of the economy, the Europeans have actually given more money than the Americans on a country by country basis. The last time I looked, America was like number 13 on the list or something. Poland, thank you for the gift. Who was that with that? That was a nice gift. Oh, Jane, thank you, Jane. That was very cool. Poland, I think, might have been number one. I'm trying to think who else was at the top there. The Baltic states were at the top. Poland was near the top. Denmark has given a lot. But basically the U.S. was maybe number 13 or so. Sword for Justice is asking if the TikTok app isn't available in the, by the way, I don't mean to jump around, but sometimes we get questions I missed. So is asking on YouTube, if TikTok isn't available in the app stores, how would that affect TikTok app updates? You won't get them. I mean, you literally won't get them. Yeah, I mean, as Sarah just said, you won't get them. This is the problem. We can talk about TikTok again for a second, but if we already have the apps on our phones and our iPads, we can use them. Thank you, Nicolate. Google and Apple can't or won't remove the app from our phones. But Google and Apple no longer carry the app in their stores. So if you were to need to download the app anew, like you deleted it or something, I don't know, you wouldn't be able to get it again. I got a new phone and I think I was able, I don't even know actually, I got my phone before the ban. So I don't quite know whether I could have downloaded the app or not getting a new phone. The problem is if the app stores don't carry the app, you can't get updates. Meaning at some point, your iPhone or your iPad or your Google phone or whatever is going to be updating the operating system. That happens at least once a month, right? And sometimes when they update the operating system, applications that you've downloaded to the phone need to be updated to work better with the operating system. We won't be able to get those because the app isn't in the App Store. If it's not in the App Store, we can't download them. I don't think there's any way to get them from TikTok's webpage. I don't think so. That's not the way it works. I mean, that's just not the way it works. Apps are updated from the App Store. On an iPhone, at least, your app is updated from the App Store. That's how the iPhones work. So it is what I worry about is what happens in the next few days, the next few weeks, the next few months, when we're waiting to see what deal, if any, is worked out. Are we going to lose access? I mean, we are not out of the woods. That was very scary what happened this weekend. You have got to follow me and other creators on other services, or you could risk losing us again. This is it. I mean, what Trump did wasn't enough, or Google and Apple would have let the application back. They're not letting it back. So yeah, this is very serious stuff. So anyway, do go, like I said, go to my profile. You'll find my social media links all in that link that's in my profile. Also follow me there, that place right there, because that's the number one place where I'm also streaming as well. All right. All right, guys, let's keep going here. Russia lacks the manpower for a big breakthrough in Ukraine. This, according to NATO's Supreme Allied Commander, talking at Davos. The Davos meeting is going on. Thank you, Addie, right now, where basically the world leaders and economic chiefs and everybody else sort of get together. A lot of rich people from around the world, but it's very influential and very anyway, it's a very influential crowd, basically. Let me see. NJ Patman says, does YouTube have an additional gifting method besides super chats? You can do super stickers as well. That's also at the bottom. And you can become a subscriber, a monthly subscriber. Like April Lynn just did. Thank you, April Lynn. Oh, that's right. I'm doing the big goat. The big goat to thank new monthly subscribers on YouTube. Thank you. And Frank, thank you for the gift as well. But anyway, let's go on. But and by the way, currently, I think the subscriptions for on TikTok are frozen, meaning currently they're not going to renew. I'm pretty sure. Just to be aware, I'm not happy about it. People can't buy new subscriptions, but also the subscriptions you've got, I don't think they'll renew. Actually, somebody must have had a subscription that didn't renew in the last day or two once the ban took place. Yeah, they can't renew. Thank you, Neil. So that's a whole other problem. Please go become a month, move your subscription over there. To be honest, I mean, that's the only thing to do to support my work at this point. Move your subscription over there, guys. There's no other way to do it. Yours did renew Adventures. What? That's interesting. What date? Oh, but you're Canadian. I'm talking about Americans. Sorry, I always forget to say, but I'm talking about Americans when I say this. It'll work for the rest of you. Are influencers getting paid? I got paid last week, but that was before the ban took place. I have no idea. I think so because I'm not paid via the App Store. But we're not going to get your subscription money if it's coming from the App Store, I think, right? If the subscription money goes to TikTok and then goes to us, it's very bad. Thank you, Eileen. This is a mess. I mean, Congress should have fixed this. I really think they should have. Thank you, NJ, for the other gift as well. Up and running again. I'm not sure what you mean by only a paw. Not sure what you mean by that. Ask in more detail if unless you're asking everybody else that question. I'm not sure what you mean. Anyway, it's all very confusing and very scary. It's very scary. But I think, please, yes, foreign subscriptions will still go through, but Americans, you need to subscribe elsewhere. Otherwise, a lot of us could be in a lot of trouble in 75 days. All right, a little bit more here. This was interesting. Oh, this was good, actually. This was via the Kyiv Independent. Soldiers of the 8th Regiment of Ukraine's Special Operations Forces resisted an assault of North Korean soldiers in Russia's Kursk Oblast for 8 hours, killing 21 and wounding 40, the unit said. That's good news for the Ukrainians. A Russian spy ship has been trolling British waters for the last week. They've been, we believe, looking at underwater infrastructure. In other words, communications cables, things like that. As you will recall, the Russians are believed to have cut a number of communications cables in, I don't think you'd call it Eastern Europe, but maybe Northeastern Europe. I'm not sure, the Baltic region. In other words, connecting Finland, I think Sweden, Estonia, a number of the countries in the area, and the Russians cut the communications cables to be cute, basically, and to show that they could. And now they're trolling around British waters, and the Brits have been sending ships to trail them to let the Russians know they're there, and basically say, "Don't you dare do it." Final story. This was a wild final story from, oh, hey, Finland. Good to see you. Well, I always like to say welcome to NATO. It's been a while now, but still like to welcome you. This is a wild story from Ukraine. Listen to this. Ukrainians, this was from, where was this from? Shoot, I like to give credit. This was either from Sky News, I think, or Kyiv Independent. I'm not sure. Listen to this. This might have been from Sky News. Ukrainians are using recordings of cat noises to lure Russian troops into explosive-rigged traps, a Russian soldier is claiming. The unverified claim was made by a Russian commander speaking to TV Zvezda, an outlet owned by the Russian Defense Ministry. Leonid Odelnov, who runs a mine-clearing unit, said, "We go in, we hear meowing, let's say, in the cupboard. When you open it out of compassion, there is a blast because it has been rigged with explosives." So they're saying that the Ukrainians are hiding explosives in cabinets and things and putting some kind of meowing cat noise inside to trick the Russians into opening it. It's like, yikes. Oh, as I've said many times before, the Ukrainians are like the Israelis. You do not mess with them because they get even. All right. That is it for the news. This is the part of the show we hang out. I take your questions. We talk. We find out if the internet's still working. Shockingly, on my T-Mobile internet is still working for TikTok, so that's good. What else we got? What else we got? Oop, here, put my Ukraine mug in the shot, at least for YouTube. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Exactly. Meouch, meouch. Oh, that was good. That was good, Ned. That's actually a great name. I wanted to do a video on this. I need to do, that'll be the title of the video, Meouch. Yes, the mug is very cool, Jean-Marquis. This was made by Rowan's daughter. Rowan is one of our regulars. I don't know if she's been here lately, though. But Rowan is one of our regulars. And her daughter, 13-year-old daughter, designed this for me. And at school, they can then print, they've got the technology to print it on a mug. So her daughter did the design on a computer, and because she wanted to make it for me, because she always sees her mom watching the show. Isn't that really cute? Yeah. I thought that would be very cute. Anyway. The bishop's words, Jules. Yeah, we talked about that at the beginning. So Trump is upset and demanding an apology because a bishop at the church he was at yesterday basically gave a speech about compassion and loving thy neighbor and being nice to gay and trans people and being nice to immigrants and migrants. And she said, for example, most immigrants don't commit crimes. Most of them are good people, and we should be nice to them, have some compassion. And Trump went crazy. Trump demanded an apology, demanded she was turning political. It's something the Pope would say. It's something Jesus would say. I mean, right? This is not controversial. It's not controversial at all. I would say it's also not political. You can be against illegal immigration, for example, and still say most people who come here don't commit crimes and they shouldn't be treated as if they do commit crimes, right? That's an accurate thing to say, and it's a fair thing to say. It's not politics. It's literally telling the truth, right? Or as Kevin just put it, you can be compassionate and still support the rule of law. That's exactly what she was saying. Exactly. So he went crazy, demanded an apology, blah, 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 blah. So who knows? What do you do? What do you do? Well, yes, they enter the country illegally. That is a crime. I agree on that front. But the point is, Trump is talking about them being criminals as in they're killing people, they're robbing people, they're stealing things from stores, this kind of stuff. And the overwhelming majority do not. That's the point. What else we got? Is it a civil? Is it not a criminal offense to cross the border? Actually, is it not a criminal offense? I would think it would be a criminal offense to cross the border illegally. I would think so. Is it not both? I mean, I don't know. I'm asking, but I would think it's got to be a crime to cross the border illegally. Okay, Eric, you got to stop writing that. The mods are gonna mute you. Don't repeat stuff, Eric. One more time, and you're getting muted. I know it takes 8 seconds to catch up, but you're gonna get muted. Don't do it. All right, Eric's taking a timeout. Also, because I have no idea what Eric is even talking about. So, all right, it's got to be a criminal offense to cross the border illegally. It has to be. Hey, Hannah in Denmark. Good to see you. It's not criminal. Anyway, well, let's see. Somebody will Google it and find out for me. Well, here, I can Google it. Only because, I ask you guys, but sometimes you guys answer without Googling. I always assume you're going to Google, but then you don't. You fail me. I'm seeing more misdemeanors coming up. That's my thought. Well, I could ask Alexa. She's so dumb sometimes, though. Alexa, is it a crime to illegally cross the U.S. border? I figured you don't know that. What a surprise. I don't know that one. What a surprise. Hey, Google, is it a crime to illegally cross the U.S. border? On the website lawfirm1.com, they say, what is the penalty for entering the U.S.? Illegal. Illegal entry into the
the U.S. is a federal crime that often comes with civil penalties.
There you go. It's a federal crime that often comes with civil penalties. That's what I was thinking. When somebody said civil, I was thinking it's probably civil and criminal. Um, you know, but in any case, I don't think I asked the wrong question. No, I did pretty well in law school, so I probably didn't do too poorly there, but thanks for expressing your concern. You don't have to have criminal intent to be a criminal. That's not true. First of all, it is criminal intent. If you cross the border illegally, that is criminal intent. I mean, per se. If I try to sneak into France, I love France. I love Italy. If I try to sneak into Italy illegally, my intent is to break the law because I know I'm not allowed to go into Italy. Also, ignorance of the law is not a defense of the law. That's another problem. People who think like, oh, I didn't know it was illegal is a defense against a crime. It's not actually. Yeah, actually, even asking for asylum. The problem with the asylum situation is that you cannot enter a country illegally to ask for asylum. There are paths. Well, you can, people do, but you still broke the law. There are ways you're supposed to go. For example, you're supposed to show up at a U.S. embassy. You're supposed to show up at the border and get in line with everybody else, for example. And people don't. They come illegally and then they ask for asylum. I was watching a CNN a while ago was saying that basically it is well known in the sort of immigrant community or whatever that you should come to the U.S. illegally and then claim that you're seeking asylum, because then you get several years of staying even though you don't have a legitimate asylum claim, and that's the problem. So yeah, I don't think you should come illegally if you're gonna seek asylum. I think if you're seeking asylum, unless you're seeking asylum from Mexico, right? If you're seeking asylum from Mexico because the Mexican government is threatening you, then you got to do whatever you can to get out of there, right? I'm sympathetic to that. Or the Canadian government. I doubt you're ever going to have that problem, but nonetheless. But if you're seeking asylum from somewhere outside of Mexico and you come to Mexico and you're already free and you're no longer in danger in Mexico, then you don't get to illegally cross the U.S. border to seek asylum. You can get in line at the border with everybody else. And well, first of all, I don't think you should be seeking asylum anyway. If you're not seeking asylum we talked about this the other day. Some people got upset, but if you're seeking asylum from a border country, then you should be let in. If you're seeking asylum from a country that isn't on the border and you're coming from a third country that's safe, then I don't think you should be let in. If you're already in Mexico, seek asylum in Mexico, right? You shouldn't come through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different countries where you're safe and then come to the U.S. and say, I'm seeking asylum, because you're not. You're already safe. You already got out. Right? It's like escaping Iran or something, or escaping Russia, right? Once you're gone, you're safe. Once you're in England, you're safe. You don't get to come to America at that point and say, oh my God, any case, I am more sympathetic to restrictions on that than I am somebody, again, literally at our border going, the Mexican cartels are after me. I need help. Yes, we should help them, I do remember this, Noah. Noah says, remember those Russians that draft dodged by getting in a boat? Thank you for the gift, and sailing to the Alaskan islands. I do remember that. Thank you, Marsha. I do remember that. Whatever happened to them, by the way? Like, I don't remember but that would be an example. You're coming from Russia directly to America, right? Yes, you may not be safe from the Scottish once you get to England, but you're safe otherwise. Yeah, that Afghan thing is crazy. Well, we don't quite know yet. I was reading up on that. So Trump has put a hold on sort of all the asylum claims, and it may have screwed up the situation for Afghans who had worked with U.S. troops and had helped our troops. The only thing is, it was some of the groups that work with the refugees saying it may have screwed up their status. It wasn't clear that it did screw up their status, but they were concerned and they were seeking clarification. But that would be bad, obviously, very bad, because we've done enough to those people. Thank you, Inger, in terms of leaving so many of the Afghanis who helped our troops and just leaving them over there when we promised we'd bring them to the U.S. Gothic, thank you. I missed your chat. Thank you for that. Did you see the GOP that wanted the bishop added to the deportation list due to her sermon? No. Okay, that's funny. I mean, I'm assuming she's American for starters. Um, that's funny. I did not see that. No, I'm not surprised, but oh well. What do you do? Thank you, Jens, for pointing that out. That's very funny. That's very funny. Trump is upset because a bishop at church yesterday called him out and said, he should be nice to immigrants and to gay people and trans people. And Trump got very upset. Wants the bishop to apologize. Let me see here. Let me see. Political. But are they saying that? I mean, Arctic Legacy says in Canada, our politicians are already saying that our American allies are unreliable and that we have to think long term, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that is true, but are they saying that? I mean, well, certainly the conservatives aren't. I mean, is the government that's coming to power, right? I think you're having a conservative government come to power, right? Soon. Do they think that way? Because I've been telling you guys for a while, you can't count on us anymore. I mean, Trump has made that clear. You can't count on us. We're not going to necessarily come to your defense. You're going to have to defend yourselves. If a Democrat is in power, yes, we'll come to your defense. If a Republican's in power, who knows? I mean, Trump has made that clear. So I don't know. But I would think only people on the left are saying that you've got to defend yourselves. I would think the right, or is the right kind of, I don't know. Thank you, Danan. Well, I'm like sitting back in my chair and I've realized I'm more comfortable sitting back in my chair. So we've decided, and I think it looks better on camera too. So that's my newest change to the show. I sit back, which is probably not good posture. We'll see how that goes. But I think you guys have less U.S. support now. Anyway, Hannah is asking, may I ask you Americans something? Of course you may. And remind me again, Hannah, did you say, I'm forgetting, did you say you were Sweden or Finland or somewhere or Denmark? Where are you again? I'm forgetting. Thank you, Sarah, for the gift. Appreciate that. The comedian thing, that was a couple days ago, Anthony. Well, that was actually last week when Trump went after the American comedian. Denmark. Oh, okay. So yes, what is your question? And while Hannah writes her question, Gunther says, Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the new Democratic Party, where is that from, by the way, was in David Pakman's show today and pretty much said that they need to be ready because Trump has no morals. Right. What country are we talking about, Gunther? Canada. Oh, but is that a lead party or not? Let me see here. Why do Americans only have left and right politics? Ha! I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't know the history well enough. I really don't. We have two main political parties. They've changed over the years, but for a while now, we've had Democrats and Republicans for God. I mean, is it 80 years? Is it 90 years? I'm trying to think like how many years have we just had Democrats and Republicans? Being somebody who's way more into the American history than I am would know. The way our system is set up, it's not easy for a third party to get involved. The system is set up for the two parties to Democrats and Republicans to kind of be in control. We've had third-party runs for the presidency, but they typically just serve as spoilers, meaning they help somebody else win. So like Ross Perot ran as a third party, and he helped Bill Clinton win the election. Ralph Nader ran with the Green Party. It helped George Bush win the election in 2000. The elections in 2016, the Green Party helped Donald Trump win. I mean, it's so they don't, and our Green Party isn't the same as your Green Party anyway. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't quite, Well, I mean, I'm trying to think because, like, the problem is it gets super complicated. Because I was gonna say um, it comes down to the parliamentary system versus the Senate and House system, but not really. I mean, how many members do you guys have in your parliaments in your home countries? In the US, we've got 435 members of the US House and 100 members of the Senate. That's a lot, especially the House. 435 is a lot, right? You'd think you'd get more third parties, but you don't. You occasionally do. You occasionally get an independent. Occasionally. Um, Sorry, Arctic Legacy's writing a little bit here on this. The Republicans, I'm getting schooled by a Canadian on American history. The Republicans are an amalgamation of the Whigs and other parties. The Democrats were the old school slavery party, which is true, way back when. The Republican Party was anti-slavery back when Lincoln was president. Lincoln was a Republican. That is very true. It was after the turn of the century. The flip happened. Well, the flip happened a lot. The flip happened and then it kind of started flipping back again. But yeah. Well, the flip actually started happening, I want to say 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, that the Democrats were racist, really, and then became the good guys on those issues, like in the 1960s, especially. 338 members of the Canadian Parliament. Yeah, I mean, so we've got a really big parliament, so to speak. It's not really clear to me why third parties have never done well, but clearly the system is built that way. I just don't know enough about the system. 650 MPs in the UK. Okay, that's interesting. That's a lot more because you're a lot smaller than we are. We're 330 million people. Britain, are you 60 million? What are you? I always ask this question and forget what the population is of the UK. I could ask Alexa. He's not very good. Alexa, what's the population of the UK? 70? Oh, 68 million. So it is 70 million. Okay, Dave. Dave's right. We're 330 million. So that's 4.5 times larger. And you've got 50% more members of parliament. And you're four. Yeah. So you're like 1/4 the size. You're maybe 20% of the size of us, but you've got 50% more members of parliament. So that would make it easier to win in a smaller area if you were from another party, for starters. I would think. Correct. You do not vote for the prime minister. It took me a long time to figure that one out, but I finally learned that one several years ago. I mean, our system is different, but it still doesn't explain why we don't get more independents or third parties winning U.S. House seats where the districts are smaller. That's the interesting question you get into with regards to how it's set up and everything else. Again, somebody who really knows American history better than I would be able to say, well, the way it came about, and then the system in place today, blah blah blah. I mean, well, that's true. Gerrymandering. I mean, today that's true, Dawn. Today, gerrymandering certainly. Gerrymandering is every 10 years we have the census, and as a result of the census, we reapportion the seats in the Congress, how many seats there are per state, and this kind of stuff, how many representatives per state, and the way it's drawn is, so the number of seats is based on the population, but the way the map is drawn, so you take a state and you say this state has 18 members of the House of Representatives divided in the state. But how do you draw the 18 maps in that state? Depending where you draw them, right? You could be helping or hurting minorities, helping or hurting Democrats or Republicans, right? You could take a part of the state that's very black, and you could cut it into multiple districts so that the blacks don't get any representation. Or you could do the opposite. You could take a sizable black population in a city, and you could make that one of the congressional districts to guarantee that black people will be able to choose their own person, right? So gerrymandering is when the state legislature every 10 years gets to draw the map that shows where these congressional districts are. And they basically, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, they always draw the map in a way that favors their party and hurts the other. Republicans have been doing it particularly bad recently. And one of the problems it's done for the Republicans is they've drawn the maps in such a way, not just that Republicans will get elected, thank you, Susie, but that conservative, really conservative, extreme Republicans will get elected. So it ends up making some of the wildest people get sent to Washington. So you get the Marjorie Taylor Greens, you get the Matt Gaetz, you get the, what's his face, Jim Jordan's. You get these sort of extremist types much more because they're not in any danger, because the districts have been cut. Is it legal? No, but you go to court and sometimes the courts will, sometimes the courts will throw it out. Sometimes they won't. I mean, Pakistan, I have no idea what's going on in Pakistan right now. What's going on? I've heard nothing about Pakistan. It's not in the news here in the States. Absolutely nothing. Do they ever add seats to the House? I want to say yes. I mean, I'm trying to think because typically states gain and lose, but at some point they had to, right? We didn't have 435, or do we only add the seats when we get a new state? Americans out there. I mean, the Senate is always two senators per state. But does the House ever add seats? Oh, I forget. I don't know what just did the balloon. What did I touch my head? What did the balloon thing there? But what? No, it's based on the population of the state. That's not the question. The question is, there are 435 members of the House of Representatives. Does that number ever grow or shrink? The 435 number. That's the question. We're not talking about the number of seats per state in the House. We're talking about the number of House seats total. Does 435 ever change up or down? Since you're looking into this Arctic as we're talking, that's what Shane is saying is what I thought. It increased after Alaska and Hawaii, but capped in 1929. I mean, well, except if it capped in 1929, it didn't. I see what you mean. It capped in 1929, but they increased it when we added the 2 additional states. When you add a new state, they're probably going to increase it. Yeah, that's not. But Arctic, what you're telling me isn't really new. Every 10 years, we reapportion the seats. That doesn't mean the total number of seats goes up or down. It changes per state, but the aggregate is 435 in the House of Representatives. And the question is, thank you, BSP, under what circumstances do we ever increase or decrease the seats in the overall number of 435 seats? And Martin is saying that it's never been changed since 1929. That's what I was wondering. Yeah. A new state, they might change it. Yes. Because the problem is, too, no state's going to want to give up seats, Exactly. How many will Greenland get? No third party. If you've got more on that, happy to listen. Why is lobbying legal? There are some very important Supreme Court cases about that, but basically, our Supreme Court has ruled. Well, there's 2 different questions. Lobbying does not always involve money. Lobbying is literally going and meeting with members of Congress and saying, I represent a large number of people. The ACLU is a lobby. Poverty groups are lobbies. Civil rights groups, a gay civil rights group is a lobby. I mean, so lobbying is not always bad, and lobbying is not always giving money. But a lot of those groups do give money, which is why they're important. They're important because they give money and they represent a lot of people. So, right, they represent votes and they represent money that they can give to campaigns and things. So in America, thank you, Patty. Who is that? Jay or Philip and Hannah? Keep the gifts coming, guys, please. I do this for a living. I need the support. So thank you to pay the bills. In America, the Supreme Court decisions have ruled that money is speech, and that giving money to political campaigns and things like that is a form of political speech. And therefore it's protected, I'm guessing under the First Amendment, but it's protected as political speech. Obviously, a lot of us think it's gone way too far. We have restrictions on how much money you can give. The crazy thing, and this gets very complicated, we've got restrictions on how much money you can give to a presidential race or to a congressional race. You can only give, I don't know, $4,000 or whatever it is per person. But you can give like an unlimited amount of money to an outside group helping that person. So that's what Elon did. Elon gave 100 million or whatever the hell he did to helping elect Trump. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely, no one should be able to do that, but we do. Thank you, Spider. We do. And of course, it's a little crazy because if money is speech, only people with money will have speech, right? I mean, Elon has 100 million. I don't have that kind of money to give to none of us have that kind of money to give to a political campaign. So it's not really speech. It's twisting things and helping, it's helping the speech of one versus the other, right? It's not really speech, I would argue. Or was it over 200 million? Okay. Was it over 200 million? Yep. So it's not great. It's not great. Money is why. No, there's an interesting question too. Arctic Legacy is saying money is why there's no third party. True, that you've got so much money to stop other people from getting involved. That's interesting. Well, that is how it works. Is people with money have the most speech in our country, political speech, absolutely, and they control things. We've had, I remember during Obamacare when we were working on, when Obama was doing his healthcare plan that we now have, thank God. Trump and the Republicans have promised to get rid of it. They've tried to get rid of it before. Let's see if they do. It's become very popular now, but we wanted to get some subscription drug things done and some other things, and we couldn't do it because both Democrats and Republicans had gotten so much money from the pharmaceutical lobby, from the drug companies, pharmaceutical companies, that they even the good guys that wanted healthcare reform didn't want to help us on prescription drugs because the prescription drug lobby, the pharmaceutical lobby, had given too much money to them. So not great. First buddy, that's a good way to call him. That is a good way to call him. Yep. First buddy. That's very funny. Thank you, Swan. Oh, hey, Swan. It's another of those cool little dragon heads over on TikTok. It's one of the coolest gifts. Thank you, Jocelyn, as well. And Feisty. Sure, Bobby. Can a PAC be started to expose all of the candidates voting by their wallets? Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the information is public anyway, but you'd have to package it well for people and all of that, for the public to understand it better. Let's see what else we got here. What else we got, guys? What else we got? Oh, right. Yeah. I see. Yeah, I see what you wrote up above Arctic. I was forgetting about all that stuff with the super delegates as well. Yeah. It's a very complicated system. Yeah. I see you, Smug. Good to see you. What else we got, guys? A new fire in LA. I did see that. Yeah, that sucks. Almost sounds like somebody started it. I mean, if a new one when they had it under control, it's a little weird, but who knows? Oh, the bread's fabulous. Oh my God, my bread turned out so good. I made some Greek bread last night. This sweet bread we make at Easter, but I like it anyway. And it's sort of, it's kind of like Jewish challah, but better, I would say. Sort of eggs and sugary and vanilla. And oh my God, it's so good. So I had like 3 slices for breakfast. It's so good. Well, I know the embers can travel, but I thought since the fire was under control, they weren't going to get the crazy embers. I think I posted the recipe on Discord before. I can do it again. Of course, if I try to do it now, it's going to be evil because I think didn't I try to? I tried to post another recipe the other day, and it was. Hold on, I'm going to look right now. But yes, I've got a very good recipe. Well, this is like a single big loaf. Actually, yeah, this worked out. Well, let me see. Let me see if it lets me. I think it's going to be goofy again. I think it's going to make it. I'm going to try right now and put the rest. Although I've put the recipe in here before, I'm sure, but I will put it in our Discord. Greek Easter bread. I don't think it's going to work. Well, last time I tried to. But better. Oh, this did work. Oh, this time it pasted okay. All right. Okay. And I put my notes in there, kind of explaining a little bit more. You got to go look for it in our Discord community. We've got a section called Food and Recipes. So go look for it over there. The mods can tell you how to get over to Discord, but that's the place to look for it. It's a very good recipe. Discord doesn't work for you. Maybe the mods can help you because there's like ways of doing it via your computer. You don't do it via the app first. You do it via the computer first and that kind of stuff. And then you can do the app. Yeah, do it via your PC, like what Tina's saying. What else we got here? I've seen the executive orders, a lot of them. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen all of them, but a lot of them, yes. Oh, this way. Is Trump on the Ukrainian side of the war since Russia started the war first? And why did Russia start it first? Trump is not on Ukraine's side. Trump is nowadays trying to be in the middle, or it sounds like he's trying to be in the middle, which would be good. He was very, very not good before. He was very critical of Ukraine, made a lot of, even up until recently, made a lot of discussions or made a lot of excuses for Russia's invasion, which was not good. And he, unfortunately, Trump's sort of criticism of Ukraine made Republicans very critical of Ukraine. So Republicans, MAGA Republicans, tend to make fun of Ukrainians. They make fun of Zelensky. It's very bad. And they defend Russia. It's very bad. Why Russia invaded? Because Russia wants Ukraine. They want to make Ukraine part of Russia, basically. Russia was part of the Soviet Union before. The Soviet Union was a very large country made up of 15 countries, one of which was Russia. Russia was the main country. Russia controlled the Soviet Union, basically. A number of the countries that were there were hostages, basically. Ukraine was one. Certainly Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, those three were definitely hostages to the Soviet Union. They did not want to be there. They were held there by military force. The Soviet Union falls apart in 1991. The Russian, basically everything just collapses. Their economy couldn't stand up. It collapses. The hostage countries become free. Ukraine becomes free. Latvia becomes free. Lithuania becomes free. And the Russians don't like that. And Putin doesn't like that. Putin was KGB at the time. He will never forgive them for letting all these countries go that were part of the Soviet Union. And he wants them back. And he wants Ukraine back. I mean, that's the simple answer. He wants to be seen as the Russian leader that got the band back together, right? That was able to get these countries to join Russia and become a larger country again. And Ukraine is happy being free. So they invaded to take it. And they don't like the fact that the Ukrainians are getting closer to the rest of the Europeans. Ukraine wanted to join NATO, but that went nowhere. Ukraine applied to join NATO in 2008, and NATO basically said no. I mean, so nothing's happened on that front. They did apply to the European Union, and that went better. And the Europeans were getting ready to do some agreements with the Ukrainians, the European Union, and that's when Putin invaded. So Putin invaded because he wanted to take Ukraine, and it would be harder to take Ukraine if Ukraine started to get more and more integrated with Europe, with the European economies. So that's why. And, Putin lies and says he invaded because Ukraine was joining NATO. Ukraine wasn't joining NATO. Ukraine, I love the Ukrainians, but the NATO was like to the Ukrainians, they didn't care. They weren't going to let Ukraine join. Ukraine wanted to join in 2008. Ukraine wanted to join in 2008, right? If they were going to join NATO, why haven't they? Right? Because they weren't going to join NATO. That's not why Putin invaded. He invaded because he wants to expand Russia and invade his neighbors and take their land, which he did, by the way. They took 18% of Ukraine and declared it Russia, which they literally did. So, yep. All fact. What else? Gunther has 5 new pictures of his new dog over at the Discord. Very important. We will go check that out. Very important. I don't know, Jose. Do you think there's a way for the government to expedite the visa process? Visa process for who exactly? Or for whom? The problem is there's just so many people. Like, if you mean people like immigrants or whatever, or illegal immigrants or whatever, there's just so many people that have to be vetted. I mean, my nephew married a woman from Singapore, and it's going to take them a year and a half or 2 years to even get the interview to prove that they're really married, right? To prove that it wasn't a fake marriage. So they're living in Asia right now because she can't come to the US. And again, it's going to take a year and a half, maybe 2 years. So, that's the problem. I'm saying, so like immigration and visa and all that stuff overall, there's so many people and they're so backlogged. All right. See Arctic. So they need a lot more people, really. Worried about your cousin who is here from Ukraine. Yeah. It's not clear what the Republicans are going to do. Are they going to keep continuing the asylum? I don't know. I'd be worried about that too, to be honest. I'd be very worried about that. Took your dad's wife a year to get the interview and 2 years to get the green card after arrival. Oh, that's interesting. Although that's pretty good. I mean, at least, she got the interview and then was able to come to the US without the green card. What, I guess, is there a status before that you can get? I always thought green card was the status, but, I do not want to keep the war, but I do not want Ukraine to lose to a bully that wants to take its territory. So, sometimes you have to stand up to bad guys in the world. That's what happens. And I think it's good to stand up to bad guys. It was good in World War II. It was good in World War I. We were a little late both times, but, sorry about that. Wasn't my fault. But yes, it is sometimes necessary to stand up to bad guys. So, and this is one of those times. What else? People talking about arson with the fires in California. Not surprised. We heard about that. What else, guys? Yeah, Trump is getting rid of all the he's getting rid of all the like diversity offices and everything in the US government. That's nice. So that's not very good. But that's what he promised to do. So he's doing what he promised, What else, guys? Anything? Otherwise, I'm going to wrap things up. It's been an hour and 20. We're almost done anyway now. That many. House of Commons 650, House of Lords 799. God, that's a lot. Oh, you can hear. God, I'm surprised you can hear her because my microphone is usually better. Yeah, she's drinking her water and her little tags are hitting the bowl. That's funny. Will I be more on YouTube? Yes, I'm actually doing a lot more on YouTube. Go check it out, especially in the. I'm doing a lot of shorts. I've been doing other YouTube videos. They don't do well. I mean, like literally, they get no traffic, whereas my shorts get a lot of traffic. So I'm doing more shorts over on YouTube. I'm also trying to take the nightly show and grabbing it into little pieces to make shorts. So I'll do that tomorrow probably because it's 8:00 now. I'd rather 7:30. Thank you, Deanne. I appreciate that. And thank you, Annette, for the gift. But yes, I will still be doing more. I'm doing more and more on YouTube now. Yes. Thank you, Geeky. John as well. Thank you. Who's at the gift for the hat? Thank you, Danon, for the hat and mustache. The auctions. I know, Martin. I need to still send the auction items out and put another auction up. I know. Sorry. What else? My rebranding of YouTube. Oh, that's true. Well, I mean, I'm trying to do, although it's funny, I'm trying to do those little face plates, but other than my nightly show, the other videos don't get traffic. So I may not do the other videos on YouTube. I may just do the shorts for now because the shorts do get traffic and they're probably a good way of bringing more people in. Okay. Now hello. Now she's getting jealous. I don't know. Can we see, yeah, you guys can just see barely. Sasha's over there getting upset. My dog is in the corner going, she wants attention. YouTube's like videos longer than 10 minutes. Oh, okay. Well, see, that's the problem because if I do videos about individual topics, they're not 10 minutes. They could be 5 minutes. They could be 8 minutes. If I do a longer thing like this, it goes over an hour, but it's a lot of topics. And I almost think that's hard for people too. Meaning you go and you check out the video, but it's a video that's an hour and 20 minutes long, so it makes it kind of difficult. But yes, no, YouTube's made it very interestingly, actually, YouTube has made it very easy to go and grab a longer video and make it into a short. So I did this with my show earlier last night. I was able to take this show when it was done on YouTube and go and just grab 60-second snippets and make them into short videos. And YouTube makes it really easy. So I'll do that again tomorrow. I'm not going to do it now. But I know 10 to 15 minute videos are hard. I mean, I guess I could try to take my nightly show and see if I can grab, those kind of segments. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's the problem. Maybe the problem is that the videos aren't long enough because I was doing like 4-minute videos that don't do well on YouTube at all. Whereas, hi dog, I see you. I know. Whereas my 60-second shorts are doing very well. So who knows? Well, the problem is everything's a lot more editing. The shorts are easier. Taking the longer video, no update on the mom stuff. Nope. Sorry. Thank you, Sobel, for asking, but nope. Yeah, we'll see. YouTube, see, I don't have that many followers on YouTube. I've got like 21,000, which is good. It's not good if you're trying to be a creator. It's good if you're, just anybody. It's a good number, but I need more. TikTok, I'm just short of 700,000 followers now on TikTok, 695,000. So TikTok, I got a lot more. That's why we don't want TikTok to go away. But TikTok will not allow you to buy more gifts. That is correct. You've got to go to the website and buy gifts because the TikTok gifts come through the Apple Store. You got to get more. Well, I should say you've got to get more money first, Randy Fred. Is that the problem? And you can't buy the coins off of the app. You've got to go off your phone. You've got to go to the website. I've got the link to it in my profile. Go to my profile, click the Linktree link, and the very first thing that comes up, we'll talk about TikTok gifts. On your computer, use your computer. Go to that link, and you should be fine. Actually, even on your phone, you might be able to go to that link. I don't know. Although it might pull up the app, and then you can't. But if you use your app, you can't use your app to buy coins, to buy gifts, because it goes through the App Store, and the App Store isn't allowing TikTok right now. So I hope I get more on YouTube just because, I also need to spread the love to be safe. Oh, thank you, KT, for the massage. Can't go to the link with your phone. Yeah, then you've got to use a computer. You got to use a computer. I hear you. Okay, just wait. Oh, already. Oh, stop. She wants me to brush her teeth because she gets it. She's not even at the water. She wants me to brush her teeth because she gets a treat afterwards. My dog. So she's whining. Too funny. Too funny. You get to the website from your phone. Okay. Oh, I see. So you could always get to the, yeah. Can you do that? Okay. Okay. 21,600. Thank you, Amanda. Shorts can be up to 3 minutes. Now that's true. But when you do clips from your videos, it's only 1 minute. I don't know why. Doesn't make sense. Thank you, Adventures. I have no idea why. So I do 60-second clips. All right, guys, I'm going to call it. We've been going an hour and 24 minutes. Anything for a Scooby snack. That's exactly it. Why are people watching me? Because I'm so damn adorable. So guys, thank you for joining us tonight. I am John Aravosis. I always like to say that like Mrs. What was it? Mrs. Maple or whatever it was. I'm John Aravosis. This is our weekend update. This is our daily update for news from Ukraine and America and beyond. I'll be back tomorrow, 6:00 Eastern time, US. Join us then. But thank you for joining us, guys. I'm going to sign off right now on Discord. Thank you, Patrician, for hanging out. You get Discord. Boom. YouTube next. Good night, YouTube. I may see about trying to break it up. It's a little harder if I break it up, but I might. The YouTube. Boom. And then you guys